All right, hi, so this is the video for session 1.4. Be sure to pause and update your notebook with the answers to the question. Make sure you add 1.4 to your table of contents, and you label your page 1.42 where you're going to do your notes. When you're ready, you can start breathing. And focus. And remember why we are here, what it is we're working on. And our agreement spotlight for today was this idea of listening attentively to others when they were speaking. I'm actually going to start having a little reflection at the end of the lesson too, I think. Just one more thing to add. What are the 5 basic parts of the eye? That's that crilp, that's cornea, retina, lens, iris, and pupil. Which cells help us to see in dim light but don't detect color? That would be the rods. What are 3 types of cones? Red, blue, and green. What does it mean to come to consensus? That means that you are kind of sharing your ideas and coming to agreement would be a nice way to put that. And what are the main parts of or pieces of our consensus model? We have the humans, the light, and the one-way mirror. These are things to ponder for today. So again, pause this and fill these out. And I'm going to move on in 5. Sorry, I'll read these to you. What are some natural and artificial sources of light? What is a DQB and what is systems thinking? Here we go. So we have natural on the left-hand side and artificial on the right-hand side. Natural are things that come from nature that really don't have anything to do with humans, although we are part of nature. And then artificial are things that we make. So we make stuff that's artificial and then implant it into our nature and sometimes ruin things. Sources of light, they have to generate their light. So the sun generates light. The moon reflects light. So the moon is like a giant mirror. So the moon is not a light source. It's a reflection. When we think of natural sources of light, the sun is our main natural source of light. It's why we're all here. Any star, the sun is a star, so any star is a big ball of light generating its light like that. Lightning, that's actually hotter than the sun. That is another natural source of light. And we have these wonderful creatures called bioluminescent organisms that actually create their own light, which is super duper cool. I mean, I just think that's amazing that they do that. When we talk about artificial, an iridescent light bulb, like one of these, this is an artificial. It requires human energy to turn on. It doesn't produce it by itself. You have to do something. Humans have to make it or turn it on. These awful fluorescent lights, that's another form of artificial light. LED lights, again, very powerful, kind of bad stuff for us, but I'll get to that later. And candles. Candles are actually pretty good. They're a nice warm light. They're not a blue harsh light, so it doesn't really affect our sleep patterns as like these blue lights. If you had one of these blue lights in your room, your brain might trick itself into thinking that it was the daytime. That's kind of how our brains work. And there's the cool windows. This is a really bright, harsh thing called a neon light. It's another kind of fun light, but does things. So put your thumbs up if it's natural. Put your thumbs down if it's artificial. So just do this at home. The sun, is that natural or artificial? Ding, 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 it's natural. Very nice. What about a flashlight? Artificial. What about a lightning bug? Natural. What about a TV monitor or computer screen? Artificial. A volcano. natural. Take a moment, write down your thinkings and wonderings. What did you remember? What did you learn? What was it true or important? Or maybe it connected to something that you already knew. Again, pause the video. I'm going to move on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what you missed in class is generating questions and developing what's called a driving question board. So we think about what types of questions we're asking, all that good stuff. And we're focusing in on that phenomenon, looking at that consensus model, the model with the light and the humans and the one-way mirror. I should probably get a picture of that. Hold on a second. And here it is. So that's what I was talking about. So this is our consensus model, this idea of the dark room and people seeing through, and in the light room, it being reflected. So you're going to ask a question about this because we think we know some stuff, but we don't really know why. So what is it you're curious about? What is it that you want to know more about? So remember that we want to ask questions that if we answer it will help explain what's going on with the phenomenon, that we can investigate, and that it's not answered yes or no. Okay, a lot of times we want questions that are big and open-ended. Okay, so that's what you're going to be thinking about at some point. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, what you're going to do, since you're looking in your notebook, you're going to write your questions down in your notebook, and then when you get back to school, we'll put it on a post-it note and then put that on our model. Although they've been falling off, I'll have to see what to do there. So look at, you can go back to the videos and look here. You can pause this to study it. You should have your notebooks. You can look at your noticings and wonderings. So you're going to take it and create a question related to the phenomena. Okay, you can think about the other phenomena we talked about, like the water and some windows and sunglasses. You can even think about that. So you're going to come up with 2 different questions. Okay, and then when you're ready, move on. And I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what you want to do now, we actually worked with this in groups, but you're going to miss that. Figure out, is your question about humans, about light, about the room, about one-way mirror? Is it about a part? Right, what part of it are you thinking about? And then I want you to classify the question. Is it a cause and effect question? So you're going to write CE on it. Is it a systems question? You're going to write S. It's a patterns question. You're going to write P. I'm going to do that now, but I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to talk about boundaries. So boundary here, this yellow circle is a boundary. So it's not letting things into or out of. It's like a fence. Okay, so if we're thinking about the boundary of our phenomena, what was the boundary of our phenomenon? The boundary of our phenomena is the rooms that they were in the walls. Okay, so because the room had walls, those are the boundaries of our phenomenon. What would happen, do you think, if we removed the wall? That's a good question. Would the phenomena still be there? I don't know. That would be something to investigate and wonder about, I think. Did our box model have a boundary? It sure did. It had the sides. The sides were the boundary in our box model. Do you think anything crossed over that boundary during our investigation? I would imagine so. I would imagine it was the light from maybe the hallway or inside the classroom, or like the different holes in the boxes. So what we just did there, thinking about the system and thinking about the parts and thinking about boundaries, this is all called systems thinking, which is something we'll be talking about more. We have done systems thinking when we did the parts chart, when we did our initial models, when we had that consensus discussion, and just now when we generated those questions. This is the question that is driving us as well. It's kind of the big question of the unit. Why do we sometimes see different things when looking at the same object? Do you think that works as a question for the work that we need to do, or do you think we should modify it? So if you think we should modify it, kind of rewrite it in your notebook, how you think it should be done, or what changes we should make so we can update that. Think about your question real quick that you wrote down and write down, what do you think we would need to do in order to investigate it? So like, what would be some steps or pieces? Would we need a computer? Would it just be with the box again? Would we need a new prototype somewhere? What do you think we could do to start to investigate? 3, 2, 1, and go ahead and anchor what you learned, and can't wait to see what you did. Ciao.